We tend to treat history as a series of settled facts, but most of the human story is actually a void, resting quietly beneath a thin layer of soil. Our understanding of the past often shifts because of a single blind strike in the dirt. A soldier or a farmer sinks a shovel into the ground and unexpectedly hits the face of the immortal past. In the late 18th century, the ancient Egyptian civilization was mute. Although massive pyramids and temples stood in the desert, the hieroglyphic language had been dead for over 1,000 years. No one on Earth knew how to read the walls. That changed in July 1799. French soldiers digging foundations near the town of Rosetta struck a massive, dark slab of rock. This was the ultimate cipher. Because it featured the same decree in ancient Greek, Egyptian Demotic, and hieroglyphs, scholars used the Greek translation to finally decode the language. This discovery allowed a silent civilization to speak again. Without this specific rock, the names of the great pharaohs might have remained lost to the void. If an accidental stone can restore the voice of an entire empire, we have to ask what else is waiting in the dark as we dig deeper. As we descend through the layers of the earth, we find civilizations that did not lose their history by accident. They deliberately buried their greatest achievements in a calculated attempt to conquer death. In 1939, archaeologists in Suffolk, England, uncovered an 86-foot-long Anglo-Saxon longship. It had been dragged up a hill and buried under a series of grassy mounds 14 centuries earlier. The acidic soil had dissolved the wood and the human remains, leaving behind nothing but this eerie, perfect imprint of the ship's iron rivets in the sand. At the center of the ship lay a chamber of gold jewelry and this iron helmet featuring a dragon-winged face mask. These artifacts prove that ancient Britain was part of a wealthy, sophisticated global network during an era often dismissed as primitive. In 1974, farmers in China's Shanxi province were digging a well during a drought when they broke through the roof of a subterranean necropolis. They had discovered the Terracotta Army. As we see the rows of figures, the scale becomes clear. 8,000 life-sized soldiers, horses, and chariots built to protect China's first emperor in the afterlife. Focusing on the individual faces, archaeologists realized that every soldier was uniquely sculpted. They each feature individual hairstyles, armor details, and expressions. In the Egyptian desert, 6 miles from the Nile, archaeologists found a similar pursuit of the divine. These long, stone-encased pits contain 14 massive wooden ships, placed there 5,000 years ago to carry pharaohs through the heavens. For these cultures, the earth served as a highly engineered launch pad, designed to transport their power and identity into eternity. While kings planned their burials for decades, other civilizations were entombed in an instant. In the Roman town of Herculaneum, archaeologists long believed the population had successfully fled the eruption of Mount Vesuvius because so few bodies were found in the streets. But excavations in the 1980s reached the ancient beachfront and found hundreds of skeletons huddled inside stone boat chambers. They had been waiting for a rescue by sea that never arrived. They were hit by a pyroclastic surge. As this avalanche of toxic gas and ash barrels down the slope, the heat reached levels so extreme it vaporized flesh instantly. Their skeletons were preserved in the exact moment of their demise, creating a haunting snapshot of human panic frozen in volcanic rock. As we reach the deepest layers of human history, we find discoveries that reorder the established timeline of our species. At Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, archaeologists uncovered a series of massive, circular stone enclosures buried deep within a dusty hill. Focusing on the center of the ruins, the site features T-shaped limestone pillars that weigh up to 20 tons each. As the camera tracks the carvings, you can see intricate reliefs of vultures, scorpions, and boars. This site is 12,000 years old. It was built by hunter-gatherers who lived 7 millennia before the Great Pyramids and had not yet developed metal tools or pottery. As the timeline gap widens, it shatters a long-held rule of history. We used to believe humans had to invent farming before they could build temples, but building this massive sanctuary required thousands of workers. To feed them, these nomads were forced to domesticate wild grains. It suggests that the drive to worship is what actually triggered the invention of agriculture. After using the site for generations, these people did something even more mysterious. As the dust and earth cascade downward, they intentionally buried the entire complex under thousands of tons of dirt, hiding it for 10,000 years. We are only scratching the surface of our own story. Most of what we have been remains buried in the shadows, waiting for the next shovel strike to rewrite our reality.